Good evening, welcome back to my channel. I have something a little bit different for you today. I'm going to do a little challenge myself, and I'm going to do it by way of demonstrating how I escape from writer's block, or how I managed to be so productive that I've written over 120 stories in about 18 months. I'm going to demonstrate it using a website called Textfixer.com. Yes, basically what I do, and it's going to sound nuts, for those of you who don't know, I use a random word generator. So here we have, on Textfixer.com, there's a page where you can input the number of random words you would like to generate, and then it will just come up with 5 or 6 words, 2 words, however many words you specify, from an enormous dictionary of some sort. I actually don't know which dictionary it's using, but it is an American one, I'll say. So there are some words that I wasn't familiar with because they are non-standard English words. Anyway, if I don't currently have a new idea for a story, I will specify that I want 5 random words, and then I'll come up with a story. So what I'm going to do now, just to demonstrate that this isn't necessarily the hardest thing in the world, I'm going to live request some random words and then try and come up with a couple of 2 or 3 story ideas to see what happens, and to show you how my weird brain works. So I don't know if you can see, but I'm going to input, I want 5 random words, and then I'm going to just hit generate random words. So the words are dot, sky, pastoral, contaminant, and floral. Right. So what I'll start to do is make some connections. So obviously, pastoral, floral, and sky are all connected. You can imagine perhaps an artist working outdoors, painting with dots, doing a pointillist piece of work. And unfortunately, there's something rotten in the state of Denmark because there's a contaminant. There's some aspect, there's some quality in what this person is painting that's making it go wrong. Now you could do a multiple level thing where there's literally a foul smell, like someone's dumped some canisters of a dangerous chemical in this field that this person's painting this idyllic scene, and they just keep smelling this thing and then later discover there's something horrific. Alternatively, the contaminant could be a state of mind. This artist is trying to escape their day-to-day drudgery by getting out into the country and doing a picture, but they keep thinking about something awful that's happened, and that's the contaminant. Or, ideally, you do both. So you make the obvious external contaminant, the barrels of some horrific chemical, but actually the fact that this is reminding the character of something in their life that they really want to try and forget and can't, is what the story is really about. So that would be what I would do with that one. So let's try again. 5 random words. Just hit generate. So we've got flake, dramatic, contestant, aggression, and bachelor. Okay, so probably my protagonist is a bachelor, because it's going to be a slightly harder word to throw out if that isn't a descriptor of the protagonist. We've got contestant and aggression, and dramatic. So I think we have, I mean, it makes sense to have something like a boxing match, or possibly a game show. Flake is interesting. Flake could describe, there's the slang term, the person's a bit of a flake. So we could have someone use that as a way of describing our protagonist. Perhaps this is somebody who, in their ordinary day-to-day life, does everything they can to avoid aggression, but only in the context of being a contestant on this game show that they've maybe watched religiously every day for years. They finally get a chance to go on the show, and all of their aggression just comes out, and perhaps ends up in some sort of terrible scene, and their episode is never shown. So there'd be an irony there that, unfortunately, due to this person not managing to bottle up their anger any longer, they've stymied their own potential success, or their dream, their passion of being on the show. Anyway, top of my head, that's what I've got. Let me see if I can do perhaps just one more. All right, 5 random words. There we go. So, sorry, distinct, chops, existent, astounding, and sadness. Wow. It does throw up good words. It specifically only gives you nouns, adjectives, adverbs, and verbs. So there's always something going on. All right, distinct, chops, existent, astounding, and sadness. Well, I'm actually going to go a little bit different from what you might expect. Chops, again, a nice slang term for ability to play a musical instrument. So we've also got astounding. Maybe this character has astounding chops. That's kind of obvious in a weird way. We could have a story about a musician, maybe a jazz musician, going to a gig, experiencing a terrible sadness and losing themselves through their music. Or perhaps, maybe they're jaded, maybe they're bored of playing with this band, it's not working out. And then a young person from the audience who's like 21 and shouldn't have the astounding chops of a great jazz musician steps up, has a sit-in with the band, and proves to be astonishing and reawakens this aged jazzer's enthusiasm for their music. That could be something. That could be interesting. And I could definitely use all of those words. We'll do one more because I'm quite enjoying it. I've got 3 ideas for stories already. Whether I'll write them or not, I don't know. All right, so here we go again. 5. Oh, well, I've already done that. I don't need to do that. All right, just generate. All right, wisdom, alphabetic, erotica, felt, and gestural. Okay, wow. I've got alphabetic and erotica. So there's going to be a bookshop in this story as far as I can see, or a library of some sort. Wisdom and gestural and felt. I mean, they all apply to things you might find in a bookstore, ways you might experience life in a bookstore, but maybe a library, because I've done a bookstore one, but I haven't written a library story. Gestural's interesting, but of course in a library you shouldn't really be speaking out loud. Usually they want you to be quiet. Not quite entirely sure why that's the thing, but it is a thing. So perhaps we have people communicating across the erotica section with gestures. Could be quite a funny story, really. It could be a sort of a story of a failed flirtation, or maybe 2 people who always see each other in the same library but can never speak, and they sort of finally get around to communicating at the very end of the story, perhaps halfway between wisdom and erotica. Maybe they share a pedantry about the correct way to alphabeticize books. You know, they have a problem with the MacLeods because there's 2 schools of thoughts on the MCs. Obviously, one is that you put it under, everything goes under MC before ME. And then there are some libraries I've noticed where the MCs have their own section, and the MC, like MacLeod, would go in the L's, or no, sorry, let me get this right. In the ML, it would be, they would ignore the C for some reason. Or they would pretend it was Mac. Sometimes they do that. They put the Macs and the mix together. Anyway, there would be some degree of alphabeticization, related pedantry in this story, and it would probably be quite amusing. All right, I'm going to give myself a big challenge. I'm going to, just for fun, 10 random words. Can I do this? Who knows? I've got to use them all in this concept, and then we'll end there. 10 random words. My gosh. All right, so we've got inner, dancer, junk, how, child, garage, driver, finale, decent, and stiff. Okay, right. So, we could even take an order now. Junk, garage, and driver, they link together. So we have someone bringing their car to a garage. It's basically a piece of junk, or the garage is full of junk. Perhaps they're a little bit stiff in their behaviour, in their tone, in their attitude, but they have an inner dancer. Just, who knows? The mechanic is decent. He doesn't try and stiff the person who's bringing their car in. And for the finale, well, maybe this person who seems like they would definitely not be a dancer starts dancing to the music being played in the garage. Just inexplicably starts dancing. And everyone stops in their tracks to watch. Weird story, admittedly, but the word how, I'm not even going to mention. I mean, how could just be anywhere. That's a strange sort of connective word. What is how? Don't know how you do that. Is it a preposition? How you do that? That was an adverb. He didn't know how to do something. Answers on a postcard. What kind of a word is how? Anyway, so that's basically what I do to come up with all these ideas. Some of them, more stories are actually coming now just from the top of my head. But to kickstart the process of getting back into short story writing, I used Textfixer.com and the random words therein. And I would highly recommend that you try it if you find yourself stuck for ideas. Or even if you're writing a novel and you don't know what the next chapter should be, you don't know what should happen next. Just throw some randomness into the equation, see what pops up. Just keep hitting random and see whether any associations form themselves around what you've already written. And you'll soon be unblocked. That's what I believe. Anyway, to prove my point, the next thing you see from me in a day or two will be a story based on random words again. And I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.